Hello guys, how are we getting on? My name is Aaron Kelly and welcome to episode 3, the final episode of ranking the Premier League players tier lists. Obviously episode 1 we had goalkeepers and defenders, episode 2 we had midfielders, and today we're finishing off with Premier League forwards. Now I know the first thing you're probably noticing is Josh and Danny aren't here. Basically we recorded all 3 episodes on the one day, but a majority of the footage from the Strikers episode just got lost, and I don't know where it is. People are going to argue that I sabotaged this on purpose so I could get, a better say in the tier list. You're wrong there. Anyway, we've got 6 tiers for this particular tier list on the Premier League strikers, ladies and gentlemen. Going from world class to top quality, pretty good, okay, needs more time in the Premier League, and then the classic shite tier. Without further ado, boys and girls, let's get into it. First up is Neal Maupay. If I'm being perfectly honest, lads, Maupay he's got to be okay, hasn't he? He's no more than that. He works hard. He's a just decent addition to the Brighton team, but he's no more than okay. Wesley. Lacazette. Okay. You could argue he needs more time in the Premier League, but because he only signed for Villa at the start of this season. But if I'm being perfectly honest, lads, Wesley hasn't showed me near enough to think he has any sort of potential. So moving on, Lacazette is, I would say, a top quality striker. You could argue that he hasn't really had. He's definitely had the chance to hit top form at Arsenal, but he's been in and out of the team. He's not always a guaranteed starter, and I think if he was the main man for Arsenal, he would be in world class. He definitely has the potential to move into world class, but top quality. He is a top quality centre forward. I think the same could be argued for our next man, Gabriel Jesus. He's going to go into top quality as well. As long as Sergio Aguero's at the club, we won't really get to see Gabriel Jesus flourish. But on the old Speckies, because I actually cannot see that well. Jamie Vardy. Now, Jamie Vardy, I think based off this season in particular, and obviously Leicester's famous title-winning year, Jamie Vardy is a world-class centre-forward, lads. He is obviously the top scorer in the Premier League this season by a decent amount. He's 19 goals so far, which is an incredible feat. So I think, based on that, Jamie Vardy's a world-class striker, boys. Diogo Jota. Diogo Jota's pretty good, I would say. One of those, he's not exactly Wolves' best player by a long shot, but he's definitely up there and a very, very decent addition to one of the most exciting teams to watch in the league are Wolves, and the fact that Diogo Jota starts every game for them, he's got to be in the pretty good tier. Raul Jimenez, very, very good striker, and to be honest, I think he's better than Jota. I'm going to put him in top quality there alongside Lacazette, and Jesus has become a lot more prolific this season. And obviously the main man for Wolves up top, and I enjoy watching him. He has a sort of a classic centre forward look to him, and he strikes me as the kind of player that would not be nice to play against. Danny Ings. Danny Ings has had a very, very good season with Southampton, and only for him Southampton would be fucked. Like, the amount of goals he's contributed to Southampton this year, I honestly think they would be dead and buried at this point if he wasn't with them. He's not quite up as far as Lacazette, Jesus and Jimenez, but injuries aside, he could still be a Liverpool player right now. I'm going to put him in beside Diogo Jota there in pretty good. Riyad Mahrez. Now, he's not a striker. I think he's better than Lacazette, Jesus and Jimenez, but is he quite world class? I don't know, and I'm looking at some of the players that are further on down this list, and I don't think he's quite on their level. I think Riyad Mahrez is top quality, but he's like top tier top quality. Like, he's very much knocking on the door for world class. I'll review it when I get to the end, but for now, top quality, I think. Sebastian Aller. Oh, lads, he's been a bit of a disappointment, hasn't he? I'm going to put him in needs more time in the PL, because when he did play in, obviously, the Bundesliga with Eintracht Frankfurt, he was a very, very prolific goal scorer, and it just hasn't happened in his first season with West Ham. Like, it really hasn't, but West Ham on the whole have been pretty dog shit, so who knows, maybe next season he'll come to life a bit more, but his first season in English football has not been a good one. Gerard Deulofeu. Don't get me wrong, boys. Gerard Deulofeu is a very, very technically gifted footballer. Came through the ranks at Barcelona, obviously. Spent a bit of time at Everton, and now playing with Watford, obviously. Very important player for Watford, but incredibly inconsistent. So I'm only going to put him in okay, lads, because, you know, you get a top quality, like, unreal performance out of him some weeks. But that doesn't come along very often, unfortunately, for him. So, for me, he can't go any higher than okay. Moise Kean. Oh, naughty, naughty boy is Moise Kean. And on top of that, he is shite, lads. I'm sorry. Right. So much hype was built around Moise Kean when Everton got him on loan from Juventus. And now, Everton don't even want him. And obviously, he's been causing trouble during lockdown. Realistically, he's not a great footballer either, if I'm being honest. I don't think he's even scored a Premier League goal for Everton yet. So for me, he can't go any higher than shite. He just can't. Nicola Pepe. I'm gonna put Nicola Pepe into pretty good. I think he's alright. He can be a little bit headless at times, but I think he definitely has quality. He showed that in the game against Manchester United at the Emirates back in and around Christmas time. I think he definitely has quality. Very close to going in the needs more time in PL, but I think he's probably been disappointing for the amount of money that Arsenal spent on him. But, you know, I think he is a pretty good footballer. I'm going to put him in pretty good. Ashley Barnes. I'm going to put Ashley Barnes in okay. Burnley are one of those teams that don't have many standout players. They all contribute. It's kind of like what's going on at Sheffield United at the minute. Like, not many standout players. Just a joint team effort is how, you know, they win football matches. And Sean Dyche has created an incredible formula for keeping Burnley in the league with, let's be honest, not massive, you know, show-stopping players. But Ashley Barnes, you know, he's a really, really hard-working striker. Doesn't get many goals, but himself and Chris Wood have formed quite a decent partnership up top for Burnley. Alexis Sanchez, obviously out on loan from Manchester United at Inter Milan. Hasn't really gone too well from there either, but it all has gone really downhill from since he left Arsenal. Back in the day, Alexis Sanchez would have been up where Jamie Vardy is there in world class. And I think he's after dropping 2 tiers, lads. I think he's down in pretty good these days. He's still a decent footballer, and you know he has that star quality in him to, you know, flick the switch at any moment. But for me, he can't be any higher than pretty good based off the last 12 to 18 months, you know. Olivier Giroud. I think Olivier Giroud is a very much slept on striker. And I even said that when he was at Arsenal. He's a scorer of great goals. I'm going to put Ollie G up in... Oh, I want to put him in top quality. Okay, I don't think I can put him in top quality. But he is a pretty good striker. I'm going to put him in pretty good. Obviously, he's just signed a new 1-year deal with Chelsea as well. I think he's definitely a really good impact player to have. And obviously, in the last couple of weeks before we went into lockdown, he was absolutely brilliant for Chelsea. Remember that goal he scored against Tottenham? Like, unreal. Raheem Sterling. I think in the last 12 to 18 months, in the last 2 seasons or so, Raheem Sterling has become a world-class footballer. I think he's brought that finishing aspect into his game that was very much lacking when he first signed for Man City, and even when he was, you know, back when he was with Liverpool. He's brought that into his game now, and it's brought him on in absolute leaps and bounds. For me, world class. Divock Origi, wow, an absolute cult hero. He's at his moments, hasn't he, Divock Origi? The fact that he's still at Liverpool at this point, after, you know, what he was a couple of years ago, is absolutely incredible. But what an unbelievable last 12 months he's had. Like, unreal goals in the Champions League fight. If you told me a few years ago Divock Origi was going to score 2 goals in a Champions League semi-final and then 1 in the final as well, I'd have told you to go away and behave yourself. But decent impact player off the bench for Liverpool now as well, you know. I'm going to put him in pretty good. Harry Kane, as much as it pains me to say it, is a world-class striker, world-class finisher. Roberto Firmino is world-class as well. I think a very much, for some reason, slept on footballer as well. If you actually watch Firmino during matches, his movement is unbelievable. Probably the best movement of any attacker in the Premier League. And obviously he doesn't score as much as Mane or Salah, but I think he is such an important part to Liverpool. And he's a world-class footballer. He just is. Heung-min Son. I'm going to put Son in top quality. I think he's very much, same as Mahrez, he's very much on, you know, the edge there of world-class. Oh, do I put him in world-class? Like, I think he's better than Jimenez, Jesus, and Lacazette. No, okay, I'm gonna leave him in top quality. World class, we're leaving for the absolute cream of the crop, which is the next man, Sergio Aguero. I mean, he does this year in, year out. I mean, this fella scores all types of goals. For the size of him, the man has some amount of power in both legs. I mean, he's pretty much ambidextrous at this point. Just had a bit of a brain fart. Ambidextrous is not like, well, I mean to say he can score goals with his right and left foot, lads. It doesn't matter to him, but I think ambidextrous only applies to like hands. Hang on, I have to Google this. Yeah, hands. Okay, well, my bad. But you know what I mean. Yeah, you get the point. Ayoze Perez. Now, Ayoze Perez, back in the day when he was at like Newcastle, I would have only put him in okay there beside Barnes, Deulofeu and Maupay. But what an incredible signing he's turned out to be by Leicester City. For me, because of that, he moves up to pretty good. Sadio Mane,
best football player in the world. I don't know why he's laughing for. What, Chris, why are you laughing for? Why are you laughing for? I'm being serious.
Sadio Mane is world class. There's no doubt about that. Anthony Martial, probably one of the most frustrating footballers. I don't really rate him that highly, lads. I really don't. I'm going to put him in pretty good. He's definitely not top quality, but he has top quality moments in him. And it's just, Man United just find it so hard to get it out of him sometimes. Alex Iwobi, he's okay, isn't he? I mean, he's pretty average. I mean, his life pretty much peaked when he scored that goal in the Champions League final against or in the Europa League final, sorry, against Chelsea. Like, what a fucking strike that was. But Arsenal threw him out after that, so I mean, he hasn't really kicked on at Everton at all, really. Callum Wilson, I'm very close to putting him in top quality, you know, but I'm gonna put him in pretty good. Very, very loyal servant to Bournemouth, of course. Top finisher as well. Troy Deeney, okay. I mean, again, a really, real, you know, a loyal servant to Watford over the years. Captain Fantastic himself. Produced an incredible moment. One of the best moments I've ever seen in football history back in the 2012-13 playoff semi-final, obviously, against Leicester. Willian. I'm going to put Willian in pretty good. He has a similar kind of... He has quality in him, like Martial, but getting it out of him these days is quite difficult. His stats aren't the best. And I'm going to put Pedro in pretty good as well. And to be honest, back in the day, these two probably would have been in world class at some point in their careers, but I think they've both dropped off. I might move Willian up to top quality, maybe. That'd be an absolute push. Like, he's at the absolute top of pretty good. And I think that's where Tammy Abraham is going next as well, you know. Obviously, Tammy started off the season absolutely brilliantly with Chelsea. 13 goals, Chelsea's top scorer in the Premier League this season. But the second half of the season so far hasn't been great for him. You know, he's had a couple of injuries, lost his place in the team to Giroud as well. So for me, Tammy's no higher than pretty good. Definitely has potential to move up a bit more, but... the fact that he wasn't able to carry or hasn't been able to carry his, you know, early season form into the second half of the season thus far means he's still only in pretty good. He would have been really only in okay, or even needs more time in PL at the start of the season, but it's been a very good breakout season for him. Marcus Rashford is top quality. He really is. I don't know where Man United would be without him. Obviously, they've really struggled since he got injured. Again, at times, similar to Martial and Willian and whoever else that I've mentioned so far, it can be difficult to get top quality moments out of him. But for sure, he's a top quality centre forward. Joelinton is in the fucking trash. Again, similar to what I said about Wesley. At least Sebastian Haller had some sort of, you know, reputation before he came to England. Like these two, no. Danny Welbeck, you got to feel a bit sorry for Welbeck. He definitely had quality back in the day and had potential, but he's been absolutely riddled with injuries, and as a result, I'm sorry, but he's in shite. Josh King, very solid player for Bournemouth. Not an incredibly prolific goal scorer, but he's strong, he's quick, he can finish. He can't really be any higher than pretty good, but I think he is that. I think he's got to be that above that high at least. Wilf Zaha. A very frustrating one to watch. Obviously, he's tried to force himself out of Crystal Palace in the summer, and to be fair, his performances have reflected his attitude this season. He's been fucking dog shit. As well, Palace have had a decent season, to be fair, but it's no thanks to him. He's not been He's not been as good as he was last season. So where Zaha probably would have been in top quality, I think he's got to only be pretty good at this point, because you can't put him any higher based off how he's been this season. Billy Sharp, Jesus Christ. Well, I mean, Billy Sharp, similar to what I said about Troy Deeney, he's been a very good servant for Sheffield United over the years, and he's at the point where he's kind of too old to make any sort of splash in the Premier League. I'm going to put him in okay, because he has been a good servant for Sheffield United down the years. Teemu Pukki, excellent start to the season with Norwich City, but realistically, second half of the season, he's been quiet, and as a result of that, I think needs more time in PL, perhaps. Richarlison, similar to Zaha, he has attitude problems, but he is a quality footballer. I'm going to put him in very good. No, pretty good, sorry. There is no very good here. What the fuck am I on about? Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is world class. I don't think there's any debate there. Obviously, a lot of question marks over his future and where he's going to end up in the summer. Yeah, I've heard a couple of rumours that Chelsea might be interested in picking him up in the summer. I think his contract might be up in the summer. I don't even know. But yeah, world class striker nonetheless. Christian Benteke. There. To be fair to Benteke, his first season at Aston Villa was incredible. Like, he's one of those ones that the streets will never forget. Christian Benteke in his first season with Aston Villa, but obviously he signed for Liverpool for 32 million, never worked from there, and he hasn't been able to recapture that form that he had at Aston Villa in that first season. Javier Hernandez is no longer with West Ham, but I mean he's a pretty good striker, but I'm only going to put him in okay based off his West Ham career. Definitely at Man United, I used to fucking hate Chelsea coming up against him, because he always seemed to score whenever Manchester United played Chelsea. But based off, because he is in a West Ham jersey in this picture here, so that's what I got to base it off. Theo Walcott. Walcott back in his Arsenal days, he had a couple of injuries, didn't he? But he was a decent bowler when he was at Arsenal, you know, especially when he was younger. Lots of pace, and even I think like 2012-13, he had a really, really good season where, similar to what I was saying about Sterling earlier, he brought finishing into his game. And I now have a dog joining me beside me.
Deck was just sitting here, I didn't know.
Hang on, we got it. Hello, Ant. Walcott, okay. Leroy Sané, obviously riddled with injuries this season, didn't play at all, but he is a top quality footballer. Mo Salah, world class. So that is my thoughts on the strikers tier list. Hope you guys did enjoy this series. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Leave a like if you did enjoy. Subscribe if you are new around here. And I will catch you later.